Why did that one kid get expelled? This wasn't the official reason, but this kid's dad was piping down the principal's wife, so the faculty basically hazed this kid into getting expelled. They would make jokes about his clothes, hygiene, and home life, which didn't make sense because this kid's family had a lot of money bags. He was a clean kid. The teachers bullying him finally made him crack, and in the middle of a big altercation with the principal in class, the kid yelled, "I'm glad my daddy is fucking your wife. I'm just pissed he didn't give me a pass at her." The whole class lost it and the principal cried. He just kept shitting his pants. There was nothing wrong with him. He just kept doing it. Same place, same time, every day. Right after recess when we lined up to go inside, he'd just let loose the fattest and wettest fart shit you'd ever heard, and it would echo through the silent hallway for literally everyone in the grade to hear. At first we thought it was just embarrassing for him, but by the time week 2 came around, we were all convinced he was doing it intentionally. I have no explanation because he was kicked out after like 3 months of consistently doing it. We had one kid that shit on a table and another kid ate it in high school. The shitter got expelled, but not the eater. Edit: I'm adding more details. These were both guys. There were a group of a few guys that thought it was cool to do things for reactions like this. One of them also ate a live goldfish and took a shot of cum at a party. The eater was not expelled, but I think suspended. He ended up going to Stanford. I have no clue what happened to the eater. These people were in my grade small class, about 100 kids. This was around 2006, I believe. My neighbor across the street was 3 years older. Practically a god to us. He was a very funny guy who also was a very good drummer. One day in the spring of his senior year he decided to pull a fire alarm at school. That was it. He was expelled. He eventually got a GED, but this was when they were first starting out, so it took a couple of years. The last I heard, he had been briefly married and divorced and was working as a cashier at the local drugstore and was living in his mother's basement. I'm covering this because it's graphic. In 7th grade a girl A chose to fight another girl S over a boy. I'm not sure if A was aware, but S was impregnated by said boy. A dragged the girl down by her head, ripping enough hair out to donate a wig, and got on top of S, repeatedly punching her in her stomach until blood started coming. This all occurred within just a few minutes. S miscarried and I'm not sure if they received any charges, but she was definitely expelled. Walked out of English class to talk to another kid in the hall. The teacher was real lax, so she didn't care. He walked out to talk to this guy. Fight breaks out in the hall. Teacher runs out, other teachers come help break up the fight. One teacher asks the kid that walked out class why they were fighting, and he said he stole my weed. Kid who left class was selling, and the kid in the hall tried to walk off without paying. Any other BS excuse would have just got him suspended. In middle school, this girl did nothing but start fights. The last I saw her, she was being taken, alone, on a full-size school bus to who knows where. As the bus drove off, she squeezed herself halfway out a window screaming at everyone that she'd beat our asses. Another kid in high school got expelled after bringing brass knuckles to attack some other kid. When confronted by the school officer, he tried to act like the brass knuckles were a decoration for his lanyard. She was a senior and he was a junior at a private high school. They got caught making a pot transaction on campus. She had to finish her senior year at the local public school. He was out for the rest of the year and was allowed to return his senior year to graduate. I don't know what happened to her, but I know he had some additional weed issues and was living in Canada waiting out the statute of limitations for a few years after college. He's back around now though. Swear to God. My first day of junior high, a guy named Steven who I had gone to school with throughout all of elementary school blew a spit bubble and it landed in my hair at our first assembly. Never realized it. Just saw a teacher call him down from the bleachers. I ended up finding him about 20 years later and he told me that he had gotten expelled for it. He was working in a gym trying to sign people up. I always wondered if the spit bubble had landed him there. I went to a very tony private high school in suburban Portland, Oregon that was in the news a couple of years ago. One of the senior faculty members had a son that was dealing Mexican tweed to the entire student body and some faculty, but managed to scapegoat another student when they got caught. Guess who got expelled, even though everyone knew what the real deal was? And that's when I started figuring out how shit works in America. Here's one: a girl got drunk at a house party. Some guy ejaculated on her hair and took photos of it, as well as a few photos of her naked and unconscious. The girl's boyfriend went John Wick on the guy when he got emailed the photos by the guy. He was sent away for beating the shit out of this sexual assaulter, who wasn't even given detention, and the girl's photos got sent around for years and people called her slut. Terrible school. We had a kid write bomb threats in Sharpie all over multiple bathroom stalls, complete with the exact date and time it would happen. Now that I remember, though, the date written was February 29th, and the year written wasn't the leap year, so there was no February 29th. Not sure if that was supposed to be a joke on their part, or if they were just a moron. Needless to say, kid got expelled and likely went to juvie. This was in high school. He was a student from overseas and spoke little, broken English. Kids would make fun of him and his name, but mind you, he was a big kid, just a gentle giant. Our school had collapsible desks for single students, and one day in maths class he cracked it, collapsed the desk, picked it up by the narrow end and basically did a WWE table smack across another kid's head who was bullying him and knocked him out cold. Threw a big eraser out the 4th-story window. Hit some lady pushing a stroller. The principal walks into the room like 30 minutes later, somehow found out that it came from our classroom. Next thing you know, he got pulled out. Someone snitched. He missed prom, the senior trip, finished the school year at home, had to go to summer school, and he didn't graduate with us. I'm still good friends with him. She had some form of autism, got the second best grade in the class, freaked out, ran out of the class and into the woods. People realized she was missing. There was a complete lockdown, police, helicopters, community sweeps, etc. Finished high school homeschooled. Went to college after though, and apparently she was still super antisocial and off-putting. From what I've heard, a gay kid in my grade was singing at lunch, and was told to stop by a counselor, and he ended up hitting her, then flipping her off. The sheriff at our school was called to help out, and then it was a mad dash around the school for the both of them, the sheriff chasing the attacker. Another time with someone I was almost friends with was secretly dealing weed. I had no idea. This kid brought a gun to school cause he was gonna go sell weed after school. Dude was literally showing it to everyone, and on the last passing period of the day he took it out in the most packed bathroom and everyone started laughing, screaming etc. So a teacher walked in, and after asking around the school, cops searched and arrested bro, skull. Worst part was the gun was fake. The exact reason, but the last thing that happened to our knowledge, was that he threw chairs after me and one of my friends, inside the classroom. After fleeing to the opposite end of the school to hide, we returned after some time had passed, only to hear he had threatened a teacher, trying to stop him, with a bread knife or fork. Not long after he was expelled. Baited a very mentally unwell homeless man into the school for the giggles. Man had a knife, and after being refused fries from the school cafeteria threw a tantrum on the tables. Nobody was hurt, but the kid was expelled for threatening future safety. The school made him take it down, and this was in 2012, but there used to be a video on YouTube of the incident. I was that one kid. I put hand sanitizer in my teacher's drink one time to be funny, thinking it would just taste gross and that would be that. But I was interrogated and really badly punished because they thought I was trying to murder and poison her. This was 6th grade. They got police involved and everything. To this day I think it was an overreaction for making a fake bomb and slipping it into another kid's backpack. Honestly, looking back on it, it's kinda impressive cause the little box thing had a flashing red light. Kid was in the 4th grade at the time and the bomb squad came to dismantle it. A few years later a legit bomb was found near the school he was moved to. Pretty sure he's in jail now. Thought he was funny and decided to grab the SRO, student resource officer's gun. Our SRO also happened to be part of SWAT. He did this as we all left end of day, crowded hall. I remember this vividly over 20 years later. This was also post-Columbine by like a month. Kid got slammed into a wall, put in cuffs. Arrested and expelled immediately. This was aka Catholic school and the rule was 3 suspensions in a year, then its expulsion. This kid was an 8th grader. He wrote a rap song with many profanities that the teacher was not pleased with, a very misogynistic and perverted poem about girls, and the final thing he did after his 2 suspensions, was punching a 1st grader for double pantsing a girl in class when she stood up, then running from the room and shooting herself down the hallway on an office chair with a fire extinguisher. This was the final of many straws. Her locker was left empty after she left because no one wanted it, and it ended up with nasty shit written about her all over it. Dude got in a fight with a teacher who publicly shamed him in front of his class for not caring. The dude was dyslexic and struggled to read aloud in class. Didn't have any more apathy than 60 of teenagers in a mandatory class. I work as a teacher now and I still think, while extreme, she had no right to do that to him. Knew he was getting in a fight the next day, so he froze a water bottle overnight and smacked the other kid over the head with it before school even started that day. From what I know, the other kid didn't press charges, not sure if they were both adults or minors at that point despite having his head cracked open. His name was Cameron, pronounced Cameron. Brought a taser to school and pissed in a water fountain. I know this because he loudly announced it to my class as he was getting his backpack to be removed from school. Lol. I think he also got caught selling drugs on school property, but that wasn't what got him expelled. He started a fire in the boys' room, then got back in the next year. Oh Kevin. Then Fernando stabbed someone as a 15-year-old 8th grader, then came back sophomore year, fresh from juvie. He liked me though, so I was okay, smiley face. I was a dork, but my mother also taught his behavioral literature class, so he had a soft spot for us. She drew threats on the bathroom walls, which leaked out to the Channel 7 News. Emergency PTO meeting resulted. She went to juvie for terroristic threat, got expelled, went to the next school 2 towns over where our teen moms and other exiles typically go. Yeah, this was the late 90s, not 1955. Russian exchange student in high school. Chased a squirrel, caught it, it bit him, so he swung it by the tail against a tree. He was expelled for having a detailed map of the school with locations where he wanted to place bombs and a list of students he wanted to kill and how he was going to do it. My friend got expelled because a girl accused him of groping her, but she was notorious for starting horrible rumors about people just for attention. I feel like if the genders were reversed, he wouldn't have gone through that, and I still hate that girl who lied about that to this day. Fuck her.